welcome to the Life Coaching on the Move podcast. I'm your host, Fiske. And if you're new to this podcast, just a little background. Each week I discuss a different life subject that's relevant to each and every one of us. I include thought-provoking experiences, both from my own life and from the hundreds of people I've coached over the years. I tell stories to make it come alive. I share experiences and thoughts. I'll give you essential tips and strategies that you can take away from this. I give key takeaways at the end of each podcast that you can use in your everyday lives in order to grow your inner confidence, achieve your goals, feel happier in life, have better relationships, better social skills, and a much higher sense of self-esteem and self-worth. So I'm supporting you along the way. You can carry me around in your pocket, play me whenever you feel the need for a little pep talk. That's what I am. I'm a pocket pep talk. If there are any subjects that you would like me to cover, then please just drop me an email, dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk, and I'll do my best to cover one of those. So click on subscribe as well. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe so it lands in your provider each week when they are first released. And if you do like this podcast, please, all I ask is that you share it on, you tell people about it, or you share it, or you rate and review it so that others can also benefit in the same way. I really want to help as many people as I can with their confidence and self-esteem. And if you do share it forward, then it may well be that I've said the right stuff at the right time for somebody else, which is a great thought. We need to spread the word. Okay, so if you're one of my regular listeners, welcome back. Thank you so much. I am always grateful for you choosing this podcast. There are many you could choose from. I'm humbled that you have chosen this one. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into this week's topic. So today I want to cover something slightly different. I don't think we've touched on this yet, but it's definitely a strategy that will significantly help you with your confidence. And as this is a life coaching and confidence podcast, I thought it was time we did that. Plus, it actually keeps raising its head with clients. It has done several times throughout the last week. So I thought there's a sign here that I need to cover this on the podcast. And what it is your language. We can ooze confidence or not through the words that we use, through our language. We can give off an air of confidence via the words that we use to the outside world. And by doing that, the outside world responds to us back in that kind of way. So we get back what we give out via our language and our communication skills. So, for example, if we confidently communicate with people in a fair, assertive and firm, friendly way, that is what we get back from the world. Because we kind of ooze or leak what we're thinking of ourselves. And we inadvertently, without even knowing it, one of the signs that we give out to other people subconsciously to their subconscious is about how we view ourselves. Equally, if we communicate poorly insofar as we put ourselves down or we apologize and we play ourselves down and we compare ourselves unfavorably with everybody else and we look up to them because they're senior level, and we almost make ourselves go meek and mild, both through our body language and our language skills, then that is how people treat us back. We kind of get back what we give out, good and bad. Also, though, it's also important to bear in mind our language and our communication skills are not just crucial in terms of how we portray ourselves to the outside world, to our peers, our colleagues, our bosses, to future bosses via interviews, to customers that we might be pitching to and trying to get work from, to future clients that I might be trying to encourage to sign up for life coaching, and so on, or even to your children when you're trying to influence your children or persuade them of your way of thinking, or to their teachers and so on. It's not just important how we portray ourselves to them. it's also important in terms of the words that we use to ourselves in our own mind. So if we're also doing this in our own head with that internal chatterbox about ourselves, to ourselves, that's also potentially a time where we can be playing ourselves down and putting ourselves down. So our language skills, our communication skills, and our confidence and the use of confident language is not just critical with how everybody else sees us. It's based upon how you see yourself, and that will also affect what you're saying to yourself, and that will also affect how you feel about yourself, which will in turn also ooze out to the outside world via body language, your actions, your behaviors, your habits, and so on. So I can't understate how important this is. Got to get the language skills correct. If you do, everything can change. And I don't mean that to sound too grand. I genuinely mean that. Now, for example, today I've been working with a client who's had a bad situation in his job. Didn't respond well to his boss. He felt that she had been giving a really tough time. He was very unhappy in this new role. He bit by bit, throughout the time in this new role, lost confidence, predominantly because of the way she was speaking to him and treating him. And as a result, he's moving on now. However, when he and I have been chatting, we've been talking about his language in terms of how he would respond to her and when she spoke to him. And so it's two-way, isn't it? When somebody's putting us down, it's often a chance for us to respond differently and change that dynamic, change that relationship through our language. So let's say there's a scenario, for example, where a person starts a new role, new team, new company, new boss, day one. And now you're always on the back foot on day one because you're the new person. You don't know the ropes yet. You don't know the expectations, your goals, the processes and the procedures. So you are at a disadvantage. But if you happen to encounter a person that gives you the sharp shrift, is impatient with you, gives you a rundown of what to do, but doesn't ask or allow for you to ask any questions or to make notes or anything like that, then you're going to have a little knock to your confidence. You're going to be a little bit reluctant to ask that person a question the next day. Can I just check this? Can I just check that? And now it's critical really in how you approach that person. That lays out the foundation for how they're always going to treat you. I see it when new clients arrive at the doorstep here. They ring the doorbell, I answer the door, and I can almost immediately see how confident they are just by their whole persona, their body language, their big smile or their meek smile, the way their shoulders are back and straight, and they look me in the eye and give me a nice firm handshake and come in boldly into the room, get themselves sorted, or they don't really look at me very straight on. They don't shake my hand or anything. Their shoulders are stooped. They're looking down slightly. It's not a big smile. It's a small, timid smile. They're quite quiet. They're nervous when they come into the room because they're not sure which chair to sit on. And sometimes they'll say, which one do you want me to sit on? It doesn't matter. Other clients will go straight to a chair, sit down, as I say, make yourself comfortable. So we ooze our confidence both in body language and in our words. So what I'm saying is be mindful of the language that you use because it can make a significant difference to the responses you get. For example, let's say there's a mum and a toddler. If my toddler were to say to me, Mummy, please may I have a lolly? If I say to the toddler, no, not until you've eaten your tea, I'll get one particular reaction. Usually a tantrum on the floor, maybe something like that. Certainly not happy. If I say, so that's when I say no, not until you've eaten your tea. If I say yes, as soon as you've eaten your tea, I get a very different reaction. I've said the same thing, but I've packaged it differently, so I get a very different reaction. So when I'm doing interview training with coaches who are trying to build up their confidence, build up their communication skills, everything really, ready for an interview. The one thing I'll pick up on is their language. If I throw mock questions at them and they answer with words, weak words or vanilla words or diluting words, whatever you want to call them, it goes straight to my subconscious, mine as in the potential future employers subconscious in that interview, and I start to doubt them. So if I were to say to them, give me what are your strengths? What do you bring to the table? If you were successful in this role, what would you bring to it? Well, I'm quite good at, the word quite instantly is diluting. I sometimes... can you start on how soon can you start? Well, I could probably start. Those are weak words. They're diluting words. We need to lose words such as try has got a question mark on it. If I said to a client, I'll try and be here next week at 3:00 and see you and coach you, they're not going to believe me. If I say I will be here at 3:00 and coach you, they're going to believe me and turn up. So the word I'll try. So I say to clients, how convinced are you and committed are you to doing these actions between now and when we next meet, trying this strategy, testing that strategy, etc. If they say, well, I'll try and have a go, I am not at all convinced. In fact, I'm almost certain they won't. If they say, yes, definitely, I'm going to have a go at that, and I'm going to try this one, and I'm going to commit to researching this and booking that, much better language. So do you see the difference? Our wording gets into the listener's subconscious and either convinces them or otherwise, persuades them or otherwise, warms to them or otherwise, allows them to walk all over them or otherwise, warrants respect or otherwise, all depending on the words that we use and our body language, whether we have our shoulders back. I often say to clients, stand with your feet hip width apart, your hips forward, and imagine a metal rod going from your head down your spine, almost a metal bar going down. That automatically brings your chin up slightly, look out at the world confidently, and it brings your shoulders back nice and firm. And in fact, even if you try that now, if you stand in that position now, hip width apart, shoulders back, nice and straight with that rod down your back and your chin up slightly, you feel instantly more confident than if you sit slumped, stand slumped, make yourself go small, hands tight against your sides, gripping hold of your hands in front of you. That makes you feel timid, and it makes other people see you as timid and they respond to you in that way. So a key takeaway from today is be wary of the words that you use. So instead of sort of going up to your new boss and saying, sorry, could I maybe ask you a quick question? I'm just not sure. I think you covered this probably yesterday, but I don't think I've written the words, the notes on it. So maybe we could just run through it again. That's instantly lots of doubt, lots of playing down words, weak words. It does not ooze confidence. If that same person went in there and said, quick question, just need to check a couple of things you covered yesterday, haven't written all the full notes, be really quick, if I could just check this, this and this, that'd be brilliant, thank you, sounds much more confident. So if you want a good book actually to give you some more background information and covers lots and lots of stuff, a good book on communication skills, then there is one that I love, which is called Drop the Pink Elephant. I think it's written by somebody that worked for the BBC. I'm not sure if he was a journalist or a presenter, or perhaps both actually. Very, very good. It's not a big, heavy textbook journal type thing. It's a really user-friendly book that says it with lots of stories to make it come alive and make it relevant and appropriate for everybody. Easy to read. You can dip in and out of the different chapters. So I would definitely recommend Drop the Pink Elephant. But he gives you tips and advice on how to word things in a nice, friendly, firm, confident way. So one thing I would say to you in terms of what you can take from today, is either lose those words totally, instead of maybe, perhaps, quite, probably, a bit, just. That's another weak word. It's just me. I was just wondering if, lose the word just. It plays down your message. It weakens your message. Another one as well that I am not keen on is only. It's only me when you ring up somebody. What do you mean it's only me? That's putting you down something terrible. It's just me. No, don't say that. Don't put yourself down. It's me. Another word that I've found that is best to not use is the sandwich, where you give a positive and then you put a but at the end. But, you did that really, really well, or I really liked this, whether it's your child or whoever it is that you're talking to, that was really good. But I wasn't so sure on this one, but you could have done that a little bit better, but it was missing such and such, or whatever. That word but instantly says to their subconscious, oh, here we go, here's the negative. And so it overrides all the positive, and instantly they tune into the negative, and that's all they remember. So one of my previous managers, one of the best managers that I had, gave me this tip. Don't use the word but, use the word and. So if you're giving feedback to anybody, or to your children, or covering any topic, that was really, really good. You did this particularly. I love the way you presented those first 3 slides, and it would have been really, really strong if you'd done one more slide in the middle. That would have really been the icing on the cake, for example. So instead of, I liked the first 3 slides, but that it has much more powerful impact if you use the word and than the word but, and that is literally just a 3-letter word change. That's how different language can be, by just tweaking the odd word. One person that I coached for a while in an organisation, he'd been in the company a long, long time, and he was highly respected. He knew his stuff. However, the board of directors used to call him Mr. Negative, because they would run new things past him. Whenever they were about to roll something out, they would run things past him, and they would welcome his experience and his comments. However, they all felt he was negative, hence why he was sent for coaching. And so through coaching, we unpicked it and realised that actually what he would do, they would tell him what they were proposing and what they were planning to roll out. And he would sit there with his arms crossed, and he would always start his comments with, yeah, but the problem with that is you need to remember to tell them X, Y, and Z. He would start any comment with, the problem with that is. Now, as soon as anybody hears the words, the problem with that is, you instantly are tuned into a problem. And so through coaching, he learnt to say exactly the same, but package it differently. So he would say, yeah, I get that. I can see exactly what you're trying to do. And the way to do that would be to, and then finish with the same advice. So it was the same advice he was giving, but he would package it differently. That would get a different reaction from everybody, and his reputation changed, and all of their mindsets around him changed towards him. So the way we deliver the message is key. Another tip I always give when presenting, the golden rule when presenting, and yet you see this over and over again, is to not start your presentation with an apology. So many speakers and presenters I see start with an apology. That instantly, in your audience's mind, puts you on the back foot, puts you down. You've put yourself down at a disadvantage. You've played yourself down, and you've lost part of your audience before you've even started your presentation. It can be an apology for all sorts of reasons. I've seen all sorts of things that they apologise for. You see them say, oh, I'm really sorry, this is 20-minute presentation, it's very dry subjects, bear with me. They've lost the audience straight away. I'm really sorry, it's quite a lengthy, there's quite a lot of slides, but bear with me and we'll get through them. Or my equipment was playing up this morning, but hopefully it will stick with us and it won't buffer. So don't start with an apology, just go straight for it. Be enthusiastic, upbeat with a good voice, energetic. And good strong words. I've got a 20-minute presentation that's going to completely brief you, get you straight up to scratch. You by the end of the 20 minutes will be fully briefed on X, Y, and Z, and understand our next future steps, our plans, our goals, how we're going to do it, and where we're going next. For example, whatever. I mean, I'm just role playing at the moment and thinking aloud as I speak. But what my message is say it firm and upbeat and positive. Don't apologise or play it down at the beginning. Another word, I may have said this before in previous words, to change is literally a letter. This one is so powerful, but you're only changing one letter and it changes the whole meaning of your sentence. And that's the phrase, I've got to. You know, when you wake up in the morning, you think, I've got to go to work, I've got to get the kids to school, I've got to go to the supermarket, I've got to walk the dog, I've got to. Whenever we hear ourselves say I've got to, it feels negative, it feels heavy, it feels pressure. If we change that word to get to, I get to go to work, I get to go on a run, I get to walk the dog, I get to take the kids to school, it changes the way you feel about it. So if it does that for you in your mind, think about what it also does, just changing the odd letter, the odd word to your audience and your listeners and what you're trying to achieve through your communication. If you're ever not getting where you want to be through your communication, then I suspect it's the words that you're using and the manner that you're putting them across that's going wrong. If you tweak them and be mindful of the changes, be aware and conscious of what you're changing and watch out for different reactions, you can then coach yourself on what worked then. I changed this and this and that worked really well, so I'll do more of that. I used this and this and that didn't seem to go quite so well, I'll change that. Just be mindful and aware of what you're saying, how you're saying it, and the responses you get, and what works and what doesn't work. So start your sentences well, start them upbeat, start with a good voice, start with a smile. All of these things help ooze confidence to your listener, to your audience, to your client or your customer, or to the school teacher you're trying to influence about your child's school, or even your child, whoever it is, bosses, the shop that you're taking an item back to, the restaurant that you're saying the food is cold, whatever it is, there is a definite good way of doing it and a definite not so good way of doing it. If it doesn't get the result you're hoping for, it's somehow around what you've said. Yes is a really good, confident word. Say yes. Instead of sort of waffle with long maybes and ums and ers and perhaps and is it possibles to, would you minds and stuff. It's a firm yes or a no, and then a short explanation. So it's succinct language, it's succinct wording. Also the word yes is a very confident word in terms of a philosophy in life. If you're not sure, new opportunities, new experiences, getting out of your comfort zones, not sure, shall I, shan't I, shall I, don't I? Yes, do it. Just do it. Yes. Embrace things. So not only is yes a good word to use within your communication, it's a great word to use in your head towards new opportunities, experiences, people that come into your life, etc., etc. Embrace it. Yes. A good gusto yes, and go for it. So I would say as well, the other thing that is my big beef is the teenage language. Lots of teenagers use the words like. I hate the word like. The teenagers use every other sentence, and DJs use them on the radio and things. Like, I said to him, like, oh no. When I'm working with youngsters, preparing them for job interviews, I try my very best to get rid of them. Lose that word. Lose the kind of words, the kind of, the like, that sort of. teenage chat, because when you get into the world of employment, that's got to go. We've got to speak professionally, we've got to speak clearly, get our words across. We've just got to say what we've got to say instead of all the other vanilla words in between. So if you've got a teenager, we have to get that out of their system. Our teenager hates every time he uses the word like I went there like Wednesday, and we'll say, well, was it like Wednesday? Do you mean Thursday then, or Tuesday, or was it Wednesday? Well, Wednesday. Well, say Wednesday. He hates us for it, and we haunt him with it. Every time he says it, we pick him up on it. So hopefully when he starts interviewing, it won't be a trap he'll fall into, because actually once they get into that habit, it's really hard for them to kick, really, because they will have done it for a good few years, and they do it without even realizing. When I'm working with somebody and I point out a word that they use that is very weak and diluting, I'll say to them, initially I'll say, there's a particular word you keep using that really underplays you. Do you know what that is? No? They genuinely don't know they're doing it. And it may well be that you don't know that you're doing it. So a key takeaway would be, not only should you become, or I recommend that you become very mindful of your language and your communication, but you could ask somebody else to also flag it up or record you. You could record yourself sometimes on your phone as you're chatting, maybe with somebody face to face. I mean, they need to know that you're recording it. Or you can flag it up with somebody, your husband, your wife, your loved one, a mum, dad, a colleague, a mentor at work, your boss, and just say to them, is there any weak words that I use that play me down? If you do present at work through your job or to customers or something, film it. Get someone to film it on your mobile phone so you can see yourself. It is profound learning when you see yourself and hear yourself say certain words. So when I do this with clients and say, what do you know what word you've used? No. And I'll say whatever it is, I'm quite this, I'm quite that, I sometimes do this, I have occasionally done that, or whatever the word is. Really? Say, yep, you just said it 3 times in one paragraph, I just counted them as you did. Really? The minute I do that, it hooks into them. So we carry on doing some practice interview skills, and they'll start again, they'll answer another mock question, and then they instantly know when they've done it. They'll do it and they'll go, oops, I did it, didn't I? Yes. And then, oh no, I did it again, didn't I? Yes. And then very quickly they start losing it, because I've brought it to their attention. And with so many things, and I know I've said this over and over again, awareness is half the battle. So if you can get somebody to be aware and be prepared to flag up every time you use, or to tell you what words you use and then flag them up every time you use them, or to film or record you, then it will be a real shift for you. That's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is, if you want to get that book, Drop the Pink Elephant, it's definitely worth a good read. That's the second one. The third thing, of course, if you want one-to-one coaching and we find out what yours is together, then don't think that geography is an issue. It truly isn't, even if you're in the States, Australia, wherever you are, because we've got FaceTime and all sorts of technologies now where we can do coaching in different countries. Geography is not an issue. So drop me a line or contact me if you would like that coaching. So please, please, please be mindful of your language and your communication skills. Be mindful of the same language that you're using in your head, because it will affect how you feel towards you, depending on what you're saying and what words you're using. And also, of course, be mindful of your body language. The two go together. If you up both of those by 10-15%, how much more confident will you feel? How much more confident will people respond to you as well? So that is my takeaway for today. For the next week, between now and when we next speak on this podcast, focus on the words you use, focus on the delivery of them and your body language. And I promise you, you will get different reactions from people. They will treat you differently if this is an issue. Of course, it may not be an issue for you. And if not, that is brilliant. I'm really, really pleased. If it is something you could work on, and we can all improve a little bit, if not more, then give it a good week, and I will speak to you on the next podcast in a week's time. Good luck. Drop me a line with your successes, all your obstacles and hurdles and challenges. Just share them with me, and if you okay it, I may use that story in future podcasts. Take care. Have a strong, confident week.